say their neighborhood roads are bad,
Yeah.
which they are, but they're packed so solid.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like,
Well, you're okay.
yeah.
The sun today may create a little havoc when it freezes.
Yeah, except I'm hoping it'll like really, although they say it's supposed to get cloudy this afternoon. I wish the sun would just brightly shine all day, then we'd be in much better shape.
Yeah.
Anyway, sit comfortably. So whether you want to sit up on a blanket, doesn't matter. Whether you stretch your legs out if you'd rather, or maybe you'd rather sit up in hero pose. You know, you can sit on a block, bring your legs back under you if that feels really good to you. And then just close your eyes and accept your breath coming in and going out. Just appreciate that feeling of what part of your body moves when you breathe in and out. Feel the breath coming into your belly so that you start to bring that breath down into the belly as you inhale, and you might want to rise up into those 3-part breaths. Let yourself start to come into the exhaling your way forward and inhaling your way back up. Those rocking motions that just start to allow you to move your body with your breath. The next time you come forward, let yourself stay there. You can put your hands down to give you support. You can go farther forward if you want to. But do let your torso shift just a little bit side to side. You know, whether you're pretty far forward or maybe you're up higher, still just let the torso go a little side to side. Come on back into center again. Another couple of breaths there. Let your head release if you can so you're not tensing up the back of your neck, and able to let your head hang if possible. And then we'll walk all the way on back upright. And from here, let your fingertips come onto the floor. And let's bring our right arm up and then bring the right arm across your chest. See if you can hook your hand, your fingers right over the top of your shoulder there so that you just feel really like that hand is there helping you release the top of your shoulder. And then tilt your head to the right. Let your right ear come towards your right shoulder, but feel the weight of the hand there, letting yourself find release there through the side of your neck. And then we'll rise the head back up, release the arm down. We're going to bring the left arm across, and again, kind of hook your hand over just where it feels good. You know, you might even kind of massage a little bit if you want to with your fingers. And when you get ready to tilt your head, left ear towards the left shoulder, just let yourself release there. Feel the weight of the head just allowing you to find a little more release through the side of your neck. And then start to rise back up. Send your hands forward of you. Turn your palms away from each other, thumbs down, pinkies up. And then bring one hand on top of the other. Clasp your hands, soften your shoulders down. Let your hands come on down and up through that hole you created. And go ahead and lower your forehead down onto your hands for a second. And really, just gently press your forehead into your hands. not a hard, tense move, right? Just a gentle pressing down so you feel a little engagement there in your upper back, between the shoulder blades on your back. And then start to rise the head back up, send the hands on back down and through and forward. And we're going to switch the hand that's on top, so just bring your other hand on top here, clasp your hands, soften your shoulders down, lower the hands on down, and again let them come on up and through. And then again, forehead down, right there onto between your eyebrows, right there on your hand. And just press it down gently, just a little bit. Feel that little engagement. And then we'll release and bring the hands on back down and through and forward again. And then release your hands, let them come on out beside you here. Let's make one big arm circle reaching forward and up and back behind you as far as you can. We're going to reverse it then and start reaching back first and forward, and then really let your shoulders wake up a little bit there. We're going to switch the cross of our legs. So you take your time. If you need to stretch your legs out between sides, do. And then we'll bring our arms on out beside us, straight out from your shoulders now. Feel the palms facing down. Let yourself feel like your arms are growing out of your back. So again, focus on being rather soft at the tops of your shoulders. And then we'll bring our right hand down and let our left arm come on up and come on over into side stretch here. So kind of walk those fingertips a little away from you, and then bend that bottom elbow there, that right elbow, and let yourself breathe into that side you're stretching. We'll rise on back up, and we're going to lower that arm down, bring the right arm up, and again, kind of let your fingertips walk a little further out there with your left hand. When you're ready, you can bend the elbow, let yourself just breathe into that side, let it feel really good to make space there, more space between your ribs. And then we'll rise on back up. Take a nice inhale here. And on the exhale, let's twist to our right. Bring yourself on around. So now really coming into waking up the spine with the twist here. Feel your sitting bones drawing down. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center. Keep on going all the way into the other direction with that twist. Again, sitting bones drawing down. Feeling that twist in the middle of your back. One more breath. And then let your exhale draw you back to center. Let's bring our knees up and then bring our feet out to a little bit of a wide angle. It can be as wide as you want, you know. Just a little bit so that when you come forward, you're going to feel the hamstrings start to wake up a little bit more. And imagine that you have your legs kind of pinned down, both your inner and your outer thigh, right? So you're not going to roll your legs forward or back. And it feels really good to let yourself open up there. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come on back up. And now see if you can just lift your hips up and shift so that you actually turn this left leg in a little bit like this, right? And just walk your hands to be a little more behind you. So you're coming in a little deeper into the front of this left hip. And you're just feeling your hips a little bit more. Let yourself just stay there for a breath. And then come on back up to center, and we're just going to go the other side. So you just turn this leg over so you get this openness here in the front of your right hip. And then just put your hands kind of behind you there, as far as you want to go, really. And just stay and breathe. And then we'll come on back around the center. Bring your legs on forward, shake them out a little bit. Let's head around towards our hands and knees. And if you know you don't want to be on your knees, use a blanket. You know that. Same thing for hands. And I know it's cold this morning. Man, the floor is cold, but get yourself arranged here however you need as you start to move through your cat-cows. Remember, if your hands are feeling stiff or, iffy, your wrists feel funny, it's fine to go down to your forearms, and move through your cat-cow like that. Or to use blocks, right, underneath your forearms or your hands as well. So just be mindful and take your own timing. Stay in either one of the poses if you like for a breath or two without moving. If it feels better to let yourself stay in cat or cow for a little bit too. Good, we'll finish off the one we're on. And come on back to more neutral spine. And now, as long as it's okay for your knees, see if you can come up just to stand on your knees. Right now, if you need to put a blanket under them, do, right? But try to make sure you're not shifting your hips back, but you feel really lifted here in the front of your hips. And then you're just going to lean back a tiny little bit, but don't let this breakage happen at the hips. You're still flat, and there are your thighs, right? And then come on back up. And let yourself, again, just hinge backward just a little bit, keeping that length of the spine. And then come forward again, and then we'll again come back. Feel the tops of the toes into the floor if you can there. Let yourself really feel your quads engaging. Good. And then come on back up. We're going to bring our hands down. We're going to step our left foot forward and come into lunge so you know if you like your blocks. Bring your blocks under your hands. Bring that left foot forward and the right foot back. And get situated there. See if you can do a couple little pulses, inhaling your hips up higher, exhaling, sinking back into that lunge. And maybe sometimes you can get just a little bit lower with the hips if you do a few of those little pulsations, lifting up in the hips and then back down. Make your way back into where you're going to stay in your lunge. Feel the feet pressing gently away from each other on the mat. Good. Let's switch legs. So bringing that right foot forward, left foot back. Again, take your time. If you can lift your hips up and kind of feel that sense then of letting the hips sink back down. Maybe they can get a little bit lower and lower as you move through a bit. And then finish off in your lunge. Take your time there. Good. And we're going to switch legs again. This time, see about lifting up either your left forearm or hand to your thigh. Now, I know some of you might want to lift your hands up to your thigh and come all the way up with your shoulders up over your hips. It's not necessary to do that. You can stay forward. You don't need to come all the way up at all. And then when we're ready, we'll bring our hands on back down, and we're going to switch legs again. So again, you might just decide to put one hand up on your thigh and stay forward, or you may want to keep your forearms down on your thigh. You may decide, well, I want to put my hands on my thigh and kind of rise myself up a little bit more. And then we'll come on back down. Again, let's step forward from here and come into our standing forward bend. Bend your knees quite a bit for now. Let yourself imagine just letting your belly release down to your thighs. But let your torso kind of extend. I mean, you might want blocks under your hands or just have your hands forward on the floor. Extend your torso out long while your belly comes down towards your thighs. Reach back there through your tailbone so you still have pretty much a lot of length in your spine. And then see if you can let your head hang. If that bothers your back, don't do it. And then just go ahead and start to walk your Uttanasana a little bit. Bend one knee at a time. You might need to shift back now, more weight to your hands. Let one heel at a time come off the floor. Be really mindful. And when you get both heels off the floor, just feel that. In fact, just look at your feet. Like when you have both feet up, heels up before you bend one knee and let the other heel come to the floor, you can just let yourself feel as even as you can in your feet. can even look and see. Are you rolling to the outside of the toes, the inside of your foot at all, or are you staying kind of right there over the center of the foot? Good. Finish off. Bring both heels down. Let your knees soften. Come on into your Uttanasana. Wherever you're comfortable to be, and you know that. Support if you need to use support. Easy breaths all the way in and all the way out. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, as our hands come down, let ourselves come on into our mountain pose, wiggling around however you need, right? So if you need to shift or, change a little bit about how you're standing, change how you feel as far as getting your pelvis in alignment, getting yourself stacked up there, hips over ankles, shoulders over hips. Feeling your hands softly together there. Imagine your thumbs just coming in towards your breastbone, wherever feels very comfortable for you. And then just enjoy accepting your breaths in and out. Unfolding your arms on down beside you. And inhaling our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees. Come on forward into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a long back, whether you put your hands on your shins or the floor or your blocks, it doesn't matter, but really think of a flat back there. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Spreading those fingers wide, hugging your elbows towards each other. Really feel your hands in the ground now. Make sure you're not rolling to the outside edges of your hands. Feel your thumbs. Feel your pointer fingers, your middle fingers, your ring fingers, and your pinkies into the ground. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out to plank. Nice, strong plank. Really reaching your sitting bones down towards your heels. Feel how your belly is engaged. We are going to lower down. You're welcome to put your knees first. Coming on down to the floor. And then just raise just your head off the floor. And your chest a little bit, of course, when your head comes up. And then see if your hands can come up off the floor. So you're just using your back body to barely come up into that little cobra pose. And then go ahead and bring your hands down, your head down. Turn your head to the right so your left side of your head is on the floor for a second. And just enjoy. Take a breath there. Let it feel released through your neck. And then inhale the head back up, turn it on back around through center and turn it the other way. And rest there for a second on the right side of your head. Feel the breath coming into your low back. Good, and then come on back into center, and let's slide onto our forearms into a Sphinx pose here now. Just letting your elbows be under your shoulders, spread your fingers nice and wide. Look at your hands there, really get as equal feeling in your hands as you can. Press a little bit into the top of the toes, the top of the toenail. Really the toenails are pressing down and engage your belly a little bit more. Good. And then we'll roll ourselves, come on back down to the floor. We're going to come back into down dog, whether you come through a half or a full push-up. Make your way back into down dog. Walk your dog a little bit. Let it feel really good to release that one heel at a time. Down towards the ground, really getting the most out of that stretch. Your calf, behind your knee, all the way up the back of your leg, of course. And then come on back to your full dog. We're going to bring our right foot forward to find lunge. Remember, you can put your left knee down if you need to get there. And then we'll come on back into our standing forward bend. So feet, again, hips distance apart and parallel. Let yourself release to where you're comfortable, whatever kind of support you need, but just follow your breath now, all the way in and out. Receiving those breaths. Let your jaw release. And then we'll release our hands back up to our hips. Bend our knees, rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's clasp our hands, send our palms out away from the chest, and then really feel your wrists here, your fingers. Start to slowly float your arms on up, 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 as far as your shoulders let you go, right? So your arms might be forward, you might have your hands directly over your head. Really press down into your feet. Let your knees soften a little bit. Push the floor away from you with your feet as you press up into the heels of your hands. And then if you want to look up, you can. If it doesn't bother your neck, take a nice inhale. And then release your hands as you exhale, fold forward from the hips, coming into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back. And we'll step the left foot back to come into lunge here. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose again. Now bend both your knees in dog. Feel your belly coming towards your thighs. Reach back through your tailbone and your sitting bones there. And now hug your elbows really towards each other. So you're really pressed back out of your hands. So it's like no more wrist creases are there at all. And then come on back to your full dog. You can bend and straighten a knee at a time if you like the walking. You can keep your legs straighter if you want. Let yourself enjoy your whole body in your downward facing dog pose. And on your next inhale, come out to that plank. And again, we're going to lower down however you choose. Full push-up, half push-up, however you can get down there. And let's come on up into a little cobra. Now, if you want to keep going, you can keep going. You can press into your hands and come up higher. Not necessary to do that, and you know that. You can stay in a low cobra. You can come to Sphinx if you'd rather, by all means. So one more breath. And then we're going to come on back down. Let's shift back into pose of a child. Let yourself shift back towards child's pose. Only you know how far your hips want to go back, so don't force it. And then see if you can bend your elbows and put your hands on your upper back. Now, if this bothers you at all, don't do it, your shoulders. So you can keep your arms however you want, but if this is a nice stretch for your triceps and for your shoulders, think about releasing your heart down towards the ground a little bit. Enjoy easy breaths here. Good, and then we'll stretch our arms back long overhead. And we're going to come back to all fours, curl our toes under, and come on back into down dog. Good, walk your dog a little bit. And we will bring our left foot forward to come into lunge from here, however you need to get there. And then we'll step on back into our standing forward bend. Letting your inhales and exhales be really easy, but also think about them becoming fairly even in length, right? So that you don't let your inhales be a lot longer. Now, if you can let your exhales be longer, that's fine, but don't force it. And then we'll let our hands come on back up to our hips, press into our feet as we rise up, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. Take a breath in mountain pose. If you need to shift around a little bit to get yourself feeling very even, right? Side to side or front to back, do. Let your hands be really lightly touching there, so really feel that light touch through each of your fingers, whatever part of your palms are touching, but let it feel very, very light so you're not pushing your hands together. They're just barely connected there. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us and inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, come on forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale lengthen out your spine. And exhale, right foot back into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale bring you out to your plank. Let your exhale lower you down. And inhale into your cobra of choice. And exhale back to your down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way to the top of the breath. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward again. Let your inhale lengthen out your spine. And exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into down dog. Inhale your way out to your plank. Let your exhale lower you. And let your inhale bring you to cobra. And exhale back into down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising easily to the top with your breath. And letting your exhale bring you forward. Inhale into that long back. We're going to come into down dog. Place your hands. Get yourself into your dog however you want. Spread your fingers wide now. Let your head turn a little side to side. Release there through your neck, your jaw, and your face. You know, if you're finding yourself tightening in your jaw, that's pretty typical. See if you can just be mindful about kind of letting go all around your mouth. Good. We're going to bring our left foot forward from here. And you might want your blocks. We're going to come into warrior two. So have your blocks handy in case you need them. Line your heels up. Bend into that front knee. Kind of shake your hands out a little bit as you get your legs all set up there. And float your arms on out. Let's bring our left arm on top of our right into a hug. And you can stay right here, you know that. You can head towards your eagle arm wrap if that feels good for your shoulders. So just let yourself go where it's the most releasing for you. And feel your feet on the floor. Let yourself feel that openness between the shoulder blades on your back. In fact, really bring your breath into between the shoulder blades on your back. Good. And now unwrap the arms and come on out into your warrior two arms, reaching out through the fingertips, bringing your gaze out over the top of your left hand. Feel the feet in the floor. Imagine your arches lifting up here now, finding the four corners of your feet. And we'll turn that left palm up. We're going to inhale, we'll reach up and bring ourselves into that reverse warrior. Really nice full breath into the left side. And on the exhale, we'll come into side angle. So hand, left hand or forearm onto your thigh. Go ahead and swing your right arm up into line if you can, if your shoulder lets you. So you're pressing into that left hand or forearm. You're finding that length through both sides of the body. And you're also adding that arm up so you have such an extended long line down that right side of your body. Beautiful. One more breath. Now put your right hand on your hip. Look down at your left foot. Bring your left hand down for triangle, wherever you like to use it. Whether you like a block or maybe you want to use your leg or your foot. But start to straighten that left leg out. Extend your torso out. Look down at your left foot. You're still looking down, okay? Make sure you don't roll to the pinky toe side of that foot. And then we're going to start to roll the right shoulder up and turn our gaze. You can add that right arm straight on up into your triangle arm if you choose, or you can keep your hand on your hip. Just enjoy. Feel those thighs lifting up towards the hips. Beautiful. Lengthening out through the top of the head. And now see if you can lower your right arm down towards your head. Turn the palm down towards the floor. And you get a longer side stretch that way. Really feel the side waist getting just a little bit more. One more breath. And then we're going to bend the left knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two. Use your core strength to get you right back up into that warrior two. Flex your hands for a second. Bend your elbows a little bit. And then bring your hands on down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel to the long edge of to each other. Go to the long edge of your mat. And if you like your blocks to come forward, get your blocks to come forward into that wide-legged forward bend. And adjust as you need, right? If you like to bend a knee at a time, do it. If you feel like you need to kind of adjust how far apart your feet are. Enjoy finding that release in the pose, right? And then come on back to center, but let both your knees bend more than you have them bent, right? They're pretty deeply bent. And lengthen out through your spine. So you can have your hands on blocks in front of you. You can go down to forearms like I am, out of my hands. You can use the blocks under your forearms, that you're really coming into, it's a squat, but you're still fairly parallel with your feet. One more breath. And then let your legs come a little straighter if you can, right? And set yourself up to be in this pose. And if you need to go back to knees bent, do. If you're like, I want to let my head hang down, or I want to put my head on a block, or I want to use my forearms on my blocks. Experiment a little bit till you get to a place where you feel like it's very easy to be with your breath. Very easy to let everything go. Accepting those breaths that widen the rib cage and expand the rib cage. And again, letting your inhales and exhales be fairly close to the same length. If your exhales want to be a little longer, that's fine. Good. One more nice, full, deep breath. Now, take your time. We're going to walk ourselves back out so we can go back over to that left foot. Come on back into lunge. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Once you're in dog, walk to the tops of the feet so you can press the top of one foot at a time into the floor. Really stretch out the tops of your feet there. Good. And then come on back into your full dog. Let's let our next inhale bring us out to plank. Get really strong in your plank. Right? And now keep your feet and your hands where they are and come back into your down dog. And let's do that again. Come on out to plank. This time bend your elbows a tiny little bit. And then come on back again into your down dog. Let's do that one more time. Come out to plank. Elbows bend in towards each other a little bit. And then come on back into your down dog again. And now let's come on out. Let's bring our knees down to the floor. Shift back to child's pose for a breath. And then come on back to all fours and see if you can come into a cobra from up. Instead of coming down from the floor up. You're going to come through with your chest here, letting yourself come forward. And then we'll shift back again, come back to child's pose again for a breath or two. And then again, now if you don't like to do these, don't do them, but if you can come back out to all fours, you can stay on all fours without going through into that cobra if you want. But if you can come back to that cobra, do. Good. And then we'll shift back again. We're going to curl our toes under and come on back up to all fours and then back into down dog. Walk your dog a little bit. If you want to play a little bit more before we do the other side, go for it. So if you need to do anything at all, do it. If you need to come into some more vinyasas or kriyas or anything else at all. Good. Let's meet back in down dog. We're going to bring the right foot forward. And again, you may want your blocks handy here. Come on into that warrior two, lining up your heels. Getting that front knee aligned. Feeling really strong there. Float your arms on up. Bring your left arm under your right. Give yourself that hug. Let yourself go to eagle wrap only if you choose. Whatever feels the best in your shoulders. And if you're in your rep, think about just letting the elbows float up a little bit, but the idea that your shoulders kind of melt down when you do that. So you're not tensing your shoulders up by your ears. And then again, feel the breath coming into between the shoulder blades on your back. Beautiful. And then we'll unwind our arms. We're going to bring the arms on up into Warrior Two, reaching out through the fingertips. Feel that sense of softness in the tops of the shoulders, just what you found just now. And then we'll turn that right palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. Nice, full, deep breath into that side. And on the exhale, coming into that side angle. So at first, either your hand or your forearm onto your thigh. Press into that hand or forearm. And then go ahead, and when you're ready to add the left arm up, bring it on up into line. That extended side angle. So up through the fingertips, that long line from the fingertips all the way down the left side of the body to the outside edge of that left heel. Lengthening through both sides of the body. Beautiful. One more breath. We're going to put our right hand down on our hip. Left hand on our hip. Our right hand's going to go down for triangle, whether you like to use it on your foot, your leg, the floor, or block. Start to straighten that left leg out. Look at your foot, your right foot. Just make sure. That rolling to the outside is so tempting, right? And then feel the thighs lifting up as you turn to look to the long edge of your mat. And you can add that top arm up whenever you want. If your shoulder bothers you and you don't want to use that arm at all, don't. So thighs are lifting up. It's like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Thighs lift up towards the hips. You're pressing your feet away from each other. There you are, fully into your hips. Let the left arm come down more towards your head. Turn the palm towards the ground, and there's a little bit more side stretch through the side waist there. Good. We're going to bring the arm back up. We're going to bend the front knee and come on back into Warrior Two. Pressing those feet away from each other. And as our hands come down, we're going to turn our feet again more parallel. Grab blocks if you want them. Come on forward. This time, kind of wiggle around however you want. You know, you need to bend a knee at a time. Maybe you feel better to turn your toes out a little bit and do that kind of side-to-side movement. Just listen to what your legs and your hips want you to do. Be mindful of enjoying letting the body kind of go where it needs to go. So that when you get ready to set yourself up to stay in this pose, whether it's the traditional hands between the feet, fingertips kind of in line with the toes, head just hanging down, elbows hugging towards each other, shoulders away from your ears, or maybe this traditional setup just does not work for you. You need support. You need to be forward so your back's longer. You need to have support under your arms or your forearms or your head. So find where you can be. And then again, watching those breaths. And let's inhale, thinking the word so, and exhaling, hum. So just inhale, so. Exhale, hum. Feel that resonance as you, it's those two little syllables, those two little words. Good. One more breath. Walk ourselves on back with our hands so we can get back over to that right foot to come back into lunge. And we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Good. Walk again if you want. Wag your tail around a little bit. Do what feels good. And then go ahead and come through for vinyasas or kriyas if you choose to, right? Remember, you don't have to go through chaturanga and do a vinyasa, right? You can do those kriyas where you come out from down dog through plank to up dog, or you can do none of the above. Put your knees down and rest. Good. And then finish off, meet back in down dog. Take your time. Good. And this time we're going to bring our left foot forward. We're coming up for warrior one. So again, you do definitely want your blocks handy on this one too. Get that back foot set really when you start to rise up if you can. And let yourself bring your shoulders on around square to the front of the mat and bring your arms out into a T position. So you've got your palms facing down. You can feel really good about your legs. Whatever you need to do, angling that back foot, let it happen right now. Feel that openness in the front of the hip. And then let's just bring our arms forward, turn the palms to face each other, and rise the arms up overhead. Now, let that lift happen, remember. That lift at the base of your shoulder blades. Coming into your warrior one. Energy all the way out through the fingertips. Feet equal in the floor. So just enjoy one more breath here. And then we're going to bring our gaze forward. We're going to bring our hands behind us. We're going to fold, bow forward over this front inner thigh. How far you go is up to you. You can lay on the thigh, let yourself use your belly though. If you want to release your arms off your back, you can let your arms come off your back if your shoulders let you do that. One more breath. And then let yourself release. Hands down to blocks or the floor, but let's walk our hands to the inside of that left foot. Turn the left toes out slightly, right? And we are going to lower the back knee down to the floor. So, you know, when you come down, you might want to have a blanket under your knee. So this is all optional, how deeply you go here, right? You can stay up on your blocks. If you really want to get out of your hands, though, and you need to stay up higher, it's kind of nice to stack your blocks up and be out of your hands. Or you can go lower. You all know that. You can bring yourself down to the lowest height of the blocks. You can go all the way to the floor if you want to. Just be mindful. Don't push anything. Just gently feel that openness now through the front of the right hip. Feel the right toes pressing down into the floor. And if it feels good to roll a little to the outside of that left foot, you can do that as long as it feels okay. Don't do that if it's too much up into the groin, into the inner thigh there, okay? It's because it's deep. So just breathe. Let yourself release into your hips there as deeply as you can. Good. And we're going to come back up. Now we're going to walk our hands back to either side of that front foot. And we're going to shift our hips back and come out over that front leg into a hamstring stretch for that left leg. So come over, kind of like the middle of your body comes over the inside of that leg. You can use your blocks. You can have your hands on the floor. You know, whether you shift your hips back farther or maybe you feel better to not bend so deeply in that right knee and bring your torso more forward over the left leg there. Everybody's different. Just be mindful, whatever feels good. If you want to slide into more of a stretch for that front leg, you can slide your left heel forward, right, towards a split. That doesn't mean you have to do a split, but you might decide you get a little more in the front of your left hip that way and a little more in the back of the left leg. You've got control because you've got your blocks right there. You're holding yourself. Don't go any farther than feels good. And then we're going to bring that left foot back, which is the hardest part. Get your knees right underneath you again. And just bring your hands back to the floor. Come back to all fours and make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Once you're in dog, bring your feet a little closer together. Lift your right leg up in the air. Bend the knee, open the hip. Stack it on top of the left. Look under your right arm. Let it feel good. Really reach back through that knee. And then lower that right foot back down. We're going to do the left one. Left leg up. Knee bends. Open the hip. Stack the hip, let the knee reach back on that diagonal line. Nice. And then we'll come on back down, and you're on your own. Do what feels good. Do you want to bend your knees and do some just playing with your dog there? Do you want to come out for a vinyasa? Maybe you just don't want to do anything but put your knees down and come into child's pose. Take your time. Good. And we'll meet back in down dog. This time we will bring our right foot forward. We're coming up for that warrior one. So remember, sometimes just before you rise up, if you feel like you can ground that back foot just the way you want it, then when you come up, it may mean a different little bit of an angle with that foot to be comfortable. So be mindful, bring your arms out into that T position. Let yourself just kind of feel like you're reaching out through your fingertips. And then bringing your hands forward to turn the palms to face each other, we'll rise the arms on up. Feeling that lift there, that lift in the belly, that lift at the base of the shoulder blades. Inhaling up the front of the body, exhaling down the back of the body. One more breath. Now as you bring your gaze back forward, release your arms behind you, clasp your hands together, and again, just bow. It doesn't have to be low. You can be up high. You can, if you want, fold more and kind of lay yourself over that inner thigh. And some of you, your shoulders will feel really good to let your arms come away from your back, and some of our shoulders won't let us do this at all, right? So be where you can. And then we'll release our hands on down. Let your hands come on down. Find lunge. And then bring your hands to the inside of that right front foot. Let the right toes face out a little towards the corner of your mat there. Lower your back knee down. Again, grab a blanket if you want. And then again, how far you come forward. How low you go with whether you keep your blocks stacked up and get out of your hands and be up higher, or maybe you want to go down lower. So just be mindful, and if it's too much, you can always shift your hips back just a little bit, and then maybe you can shift a little farther forward and kind of ease your way into opening the front of that left hip. Feel the top of the left toes gently pressing into the floor. Feel that little bit of engagement. Now this whole right leg and right hip, if you like to roll to the pinky toe side of that right foot, you can, but don't do it if it's too much. Good. One more breath here. And now as you start to come up, we're going to bring our hands to either side of that right front foot again before we shift our hips back. And then flex through that right foot. Again, if you don't want to very deeply bend your left knee, don't. I mean, let yourself come out over that front leg without even bending the back knee any more than 90 degrees. But some people, it feels very good to shift their hips back and come forward that way, right? So whatever works for you. Let yourself just open up the back of that right leg. Feel your torso extended out over that leg. And then, of course, that coming forward with that front heel, whether that feels like a good idea or not to you is totally up to you. And you can slide forward a little bit and let yourself come towards a little bit of a split. Does not have to be a split. Just something that gives you maybe a little bit more into the hips. Good. And we are going to bring that foot back the hardest part and let your knee come on back down. Let's come into child's pose. Let yourself, once you're in child's pose, come up enough to thread the needle with your right arm through. Come down to the left side of your head. And you can decide if you want to stretch the left arm overhead, or maybe you feel better just to keep your hand, your elbow bent. Let it feel good. Just be mindful. Breathe into between the shoulder blades. Feel how your hips feel as well. And then we'll bring our left hand back enough to push our way up so we can just switch. Thread the needle with that left arm through. Again, you're on the left side of your head. It might feel good to reach your hand towards the top edge of your mat, or maybe you feel just as well about letting it be soft. You know, let it feel really good. One more breath. And then bring your hand on back to press your way up. Come on forward back to your hands and knees. And then see if you can curl your toes under. See if you can shift back and come into, like you may want to open your knees out to the side for a squat. You may want to widen your feet. Or you may go, gosh, I really just need to do this, right? I need to put my elbows above my knees. So let yourself release there as best you can. So you might be in a squat, you might be up in a higher squat. Let yourself release in your hips, your lower back. Good. And then from here, we're going to rise on up with our hips, get our feet right underneath us. Get yourself set, hips, feet, hips distance apart and parallel. Nice full breaths. Enjoy your Uttanasana. Enjoy that release through the upper body. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And as our hands come down, think of your head getting up higher towards the ceiling. It's like you just grew an inch. You feel all that space in your spine. And this incredible feeling of lightness in your upper body, incredibly light in your head. Equally grounded through your feet. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down. Shake out a little bit. And let's bring our mats into a wall. We got plenty of room. Find yourself a wall. Bring the short edge in. We'll play a little bit here with a warrior 3. So bring your blocks with you for under your hands, highest height. And we'll come away from the wall enough to when we put our right foot back that we can get our foot on the wall with the toes facing down. Be careful, you know, sometimes you tend to want to kick the wall like it's not very comfortable. So get yourself to where you feel good. You can look back at your foot on the wall and you can tell the toes are facing down and that you don't have your heel higher than your sitting bone, right? Come to fists on your blocks, just for fun. Come on to fists, okay? And bend both your knees a little bit. So both your knees are bent. Bring your left hand up to your chest for a second. Now really feel that foot on the wall. Feel your foot in the floor. Keep your left hand on your chest and then straighten both your legs out. Press into that foot on the wall back there. Feel like you can get a little higher up with your chest where your hand is there. One more breath. Good, and then bring that left hand up to your low back and roll your left shoulder up. Come into that little bit of a twist. So it feels pretty easy right now. Yeah, it feels really good. You can find that twist in the middle of the back. You're nice and level right there at your hips. Good. And then go ahead and turn your gaze back down. Now from here, put your hand back to your chest. See if you can bring your right hand up to your chest too. Bend both your knees if you need to do it. And then put both your hands back down on your blocks for a second. And from here, release your foot from the wall. Bend both your knees and bring your knees side by side. All right? And the right foot's still off the floor. You still got your weight on your left foot. We're going to extend back to that warrior 3 foot on the wall. Let yourself press into the wall. And then again, bend both your knees. Bring your right knee down beside your left knee. Foot still off the floor. Go back one more time to that warrior 3. And if you want more, go for it. Release your blocks or bring your left arm forward. You can do anything you want. And if you're like me and you're going, I don't want to do anything more, when you're ready, Come on down, squat if you need to. Bring yourself into whatever feels good to find release after that, okay? Just be mindful. Woo! Okay, short and sweet. We're going to do the other side. So bringing yourself back to left foot up the wall now. And again, look at it, because you can tell, if you can't look back and see your toes, then you know you got your foot too high. You guys are all very well aligned. Bend both your knees, okay? Come to your fists for a second on your blocks. Bend both your knees, feel your foot in the wall back there, and then just let your right hand come to your heart, your chest there. So this feels pretty good. Don't you feel really even in your legs now? And then start to stretch both your legs long. Push into that foot on the wall. Feel like you're getting lighter in the upper body. Your chest rises up a little bit. And then just easily bring that right hand onto your low back and turn to look to your right. Put your hand down on your low back there. Find that twist in the middle of the back. Keep feeling that foot on the wall. Good. And then come on down, bring your hand to your chest again, and bend both your knees again. See if you can think about bringing both hands up to your chest. If you can do that, do it. Bring your hands back down onto the blocks. Bend both your knees as you bring your left knee in beside your right, the foot still off the floor. And then you're going to extend back into that warrior three. Press into the wall again. One more time. Bend your right knee and your left knee comes down right beside it. And extend back again to the wall. This time, see if you can release into maybe right arm forward or maybe both hands off the blocks. Last intense warrior three. Good. And then come on down with that foot. Walk back towards the wall. You can have your blocks with you if you want. We're going to come down with our feet towards the wall and come on into child's pose with our toes touching the wall. So releasing on back. Hopefully it feels good. Let yourself breathe into your low back. Appreciate the breath expanding the low back. Hello, legs. Nice. We're going to come on to our forearms. You can either do hands separated with your forearms parallel, or if you like to clasp your hands, send your pinkies out, do it. Go ahead and lift on up with your heels up the wall, and hopefully this feels almost like a relief. To let yourself press into your forearms, hug your elbows towards each other. Allow your head to hang. Let yourself just feel that engagement of those muscles that come wrapping around under your arms to allow you to release between your shoulder blades. And you know, I know a lot of you like to put a leg up the wall, or if you'd rather not, if you'd rather actually come and do some 3-block dolphin, if you want to come down and turn around and have a third block, I'll be happy to bring you one. If you feel like you want to stay, yeah, my initial intent today. Anybody else want a third block? Yeah. And you know, if you don't want to do any more of these, don't do any more of them. So, if you're doing blocks, or if you're at home and forget, maybe not have 3 blocks, but if you do, you can stack the bottom one to its highest height, the top to the lowest height. Anybody else want one? Wave at me. No. So you can rest if you want. You can lie with your legs up the wall, which is a nice inversion where you can lie and release and get your head, your feet up above your heart, or your legs above your heart, right? So you can do that if you prefer not to come into any kind of inversion here. This, you know, where you're using your shoulders and to follow what your body needs to do, really, right? So if you do want to come One more time up to do something, do it. If you're done, be done. Rest however you need to rest. Whether you need to sit up to rest or bring yourself into child's pose. You okay?
Jerry's home with the grandkids till I get there.
Uh,
Because they don't have school today and Mom had to go back to work.
okay.
So I told him I wouldn't nap on his time. Come home.
You're so nice. All right, let's come on around. And you may want to sit up on a blanket. That depends on you. We're going to come on around to sitting. We're going to do a little bit of cow face. So, you know, if sitting up on a blanket helps you, as you think about either doing a half cow face. So your right leg can be long. Your left thigh can come over the top and you can be right here, right? Or you may decide, I want to fold both legs under and be in full cow face. So what the blanket does for you is get you just a little more able to be in cow face a little more comfortably, right? But you can still keep your right leg long and do the half cow face, just as effective coming into opening your hips, right? So at first, sit up nice and tall. Everybody's got their left one on top, right? So bring your right arm up overhead and bend your elbow and let your gaze stay forward. Make sure you're not doing this, right? Doesn't matter where your hand is or how your shoulder needs to be. You just need to keep your gaze forward so you're not rounding into this upper back. And then just put your left hand behind you. You can fold the left arm just to, you know, rest your forearm on your low back. Or you may decide, I want to try to bring my hands closer together there to reach them towards each other. Just for a couple of breaths. Let yourself enjoy, right? Feeling the ribs expand as you inhale. Keeping your gaze forward, letting yourself find that lift up through the top of your head. One more breath. And then release, unfold your arms on down, take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our left. So your right hand can just be on your knee. You can go ahead and bring the arm or the wrist across to the outside of your knee if you want. Let yourself come around into the twist of choice. It feels good for you. Feel that lift up through the top of the head. Feel the sitting bones drawing down. Good. One more breath. And now as you unwind, let yourself come forward a little bit. So it's the thought almost of your navel coming up and over your knee here. So whether you're in one leg long, which is actually much more on the hamstring obviously than if you're in your full cow face, just let yourself feel where you can go to feel the back of that leg, to feel the hip releasing there. Blocks handy, most of you do, so in case you want to block, but let yourself, when you're ready to set up for a little bridge pose, get your feet there a little wider than you do for your mountains, still parallel, and you can lift up, and if you get up there and you know it's so funny, it's probably really a lot of you in here have done probably how many bridge poses in your life? A lot. But sometimes every day's a new day, and if you get up there and you're like, oh, this just doesn't feel right, sometimes just playing around with where your feet are when you start makes a big difference. So you can, have the feet farther away. If you want to come down and try to come into a full upward facing bow pose, you are more than welcome, of course, to do that. Or you can always use your blocks, stay on the block, and be in a supported releasing for your low back. Wonderful bridge pose. Do what you want to say. So you can move down and up from bridge. If you're done with bridge and you bring your knees in, you know that you've got to find what feels good for you at the end of moving into bridge pose. So really take your time. I would love to bring, it is cold on the floor. My hands are freezing. I don't know about you guys, but feet. So if you need blanket, you need a bolster. If you need a blanket for either your head or for cover, I give a bolster underneath your knees. You want cover there?
No, a little bolster.
Okay. A little one or a little one? Can you lie back on it? Okay. Under your knee. So sometimes, remember, you get back there and you think you're fine, and then after, just a little bit of breathing, wiggling, you're not quite as fine as you thought. So, by all means, do what you need to do. And if you feel chilly, let me know. Let me bring you cover. As you just be with your breath now, accepting your breaths. In and out. Nothing you need to do in order to breathe. Let yourself just feel how your body responds as your breath gets quieter, and how your brain responds, because your brain goes into those little quiet places. When you come back to thinking, just softly focus back to your breath. And give yourself these few minutes, letting your body have time to benefit, letting yourself find those little quiet places where you can benefit, and letting yourself completely and fully relax.